All right, good. So,
Send him a message. Sorry, yesterday I had a bit of a crisis when I got to work, so that's why I missed the meeting, unfortunately.
okay, I see. No worries, no worries. We actually had a great discussion yesterday.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I guess I'll quickly update about
Cool.
what we talked about. Essentially, I try to help Victoria to clarify what the next 6 months, and 3 months goals should be.
Cool.
That would be really compelling and also, valuable for him. And essentially, Victory, decided that to build a real application will be something that attract him a lot. That will be like really motivating for him. And he also decided to 10x the goals. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So he decided to take on the challenge. So I think for the 6 months goal, we actually list down like three things. The first is the completion of his thesis. Okay.
Okay.
And
Like the whole thing.
the second is to get a simulation or emulation or physical anyway mixture to run to 10,000 nodes. Okay.
Okay.
10,000 nodes. And the third is an actual application, a spatial app that actually has 1,000 users. Okay.
Okay.
And
Cool.
we actually discussed in details what the app should be about that will be valuable for people. So it was sort of through discussions became clear that actually simply doing an instant messenger, it's something like a WhatsApp, but fully decentralized in the sense that there won't be any centralized message gathering. Okay, so that everything is being done with a distributed, overlay kind of approach, and that would be something, that basically allows people to have an incentive to install because they can know that the communication will be secure. It's not being tapped onto, right? It's over a decentralized network. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, and this goal actually Victor revealed to be what attracted him the most. Okay.
Okay.
So, hi, Victor. Can you hear us?
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Hi. All right. We're looking for your big update. Okay.
Yeah.
Or no, just an open. So I was telling Herman what we discussed yesterday. Okay. In terms of three goals. So maybe you can share a bit, your update and I guess your perspective take on this, and also maybe share your update with us. Would that be all right? Okay. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's fine. So yesterday, in our session, we were talking about basically the 10x strategy thing, right? And if I was willing to, go, and basically I wanted to. And the background behind that was, I don't know if you remember, I did say earlier that I wanted to finish the PhD in record time. And I think this would be the second year in theory, or well, sometime in April maybe, but still, I've not given up hope yet. So the idea was, what's the craziest 10 time, 10x rule I can take? And well, I decided, so we sort of split it into into two parts. There's like the shorter term, or the 3-month period, and then there's more the 6-month period, and the 6-month period gave at least a bit more time. And the idea was, in 6 months, the goal was to achieve a thesis, a proposal, simulation with 10,000 nodes. And when I say simulations, where we're combining both like Docker as well as maybe Raspberry Pis, and then an actual working prototype. We called it like a chat application, like a spatial WhatsApp, and that was the name we could think of yesterday. And the idea is to have at least 100 users registered on that platform.
I think not just 100, right? That's
No, not 100. I said 1,000. Yeah, 1,000
yeah.
users, and
What
all of the
100 was the comfortable number that Victoria thought of.
yes, it was the comfortable number.
I encourage him to 10x that as well.
And next time, yeah. So
Okay,
it's
cool.
1,000 users, and the idea is, we have a working prototype. People are using it. People can communicate at least. Send messages to their friends and to their neighbors or to their colleagues on this platform using they're using this app built on top of the backend systems which we built. And the idea was the key question that came out of that was, okay, so what would be what I would consider to be this the most important output from all of this. And I gave, I think, a slightly politically incorrect answer, which was the working prototype in terms of the mobile app or the chat app. And the reason why was, if there's a mobile app, chances are everything is working on the back end. And if everything is working, the mobile app gives a platform to sort of build, this sort of incremental changes where you're not fixing the back end anymore. You're just, adding, fixing bugs or integrating new features like photo sharing or video sharing or that kind of thing. And so if there's a mobile app, then it sort of provides that foundation or that platform to put to build on. And then the next key was the proposal. So it's like a physical working prototype as well as the proposal, and then the thesis. And again, the proposal sort of goes hand in hand with the simulation, with the 10,000 nodes. So and then thesis, and all of this should be done by December 31st.
Okay, cool.
So what we would need, I wrote some of these things down. It's still like on an Excel format, but
okay. Would you
what
like
we
to share
need,
that, or
sure.
okay, go ahead.
So
I'd like to add a little. Okay, so I think Victor is pretty much explained well the 6 months, and the reason behind 10x is actually that the effort time taken is actually more or less the same. Okay. If
Okay,
we were
cool.
doing 10x and compared to 1x goal, although you probably want to do things very differently. Okay, the approach will be different, but the effort will probably be the same. Yeah, so why not 10x that? And okay, so Victor, you like to go ahead with
yes.
explaining how this-
Sorry. So yeah. First, we would need some sort of JavaScript expert, especially I can't remember what they're called. I think they're called backend developers. Basically someone that knows how to use, or that has been involved with developing APIs. And the one that came up yesterday was the RESTful format. Or then I think about it, you Shinyan, you talked about the person that developed or co-founded the YAML format.
Oh, YAML,
YAML.
yeah, Ingi.net. Oh, it's
No.
Ingi, yeah.
Okay. Is that's like a text format, right? In terms of structure.
Well, it's kind of like JSON.
Like JSON, exactly. And I
it
know
is
RESTful is
another.
JSON.
It's a text-based format into encode decode objects. So
Okay.
just like JSON, but with a different kind of approach.
Okay. And so the idea is we would need at least one who has experience or who has developed that for like front end, for systems that have been built like for public use. This would sort of help with aligning the development part on the back end to align with this, to make sure the outputs are aligned, the formatting is aligned, and basically the idea is this person should help in terms of making sure that if any backend developer was to see our code and to see our documentation, they don't have to ask too many questions. They can simply just plug and play, right? Yeah, and that's what the developers working in parallel mean. Then we would also have to start getting the word out to communities. I think in this case, the key community would probably be like professionals, like students in a building, or students in a lab, or people working in an office space, or maybe if you have like a large family member, you have like a large family living in like a big house. I know we used to have that in Nigeria, where you would have like one big piece of land and many people living in there. But the idea is we'll have to start getting the word out to encourage them to look out for I think this is a bit of more into marketing now. A bit of, okay, there's this app coming soon, sign up for updates or sign up to be the first to test it out, or something like, are you tired of WhatsApp already? Are you concerned about privacy? All the stuff that young people or technical people are sort of interested in, and then just to get them on board such that when the application is ready to run, we simply just send it as an email to these people, or we, keep them in the loop that, okay, this is up and they can check it out. Yeah, we need the actual WhatsApp decentralized, platform. And again, that's basically where our, the matching and the forwarding needs to be on point in terms of how it works. Yeah, I mean, yes. I'm talking about the development side on our side now. Like, I have to make sure that the forwarding is right, the forwarding is working, the routing, all that optimization has been done. And the sixth feature, and this was like something Shunyun added yesterday, was the group communication aspect. So I didn't think about it earlier, but you usually, I mean, at the moment, I think the system is optimized or designed such that it allows for point-to-point communication, where you're having a matcher talking to a node, or a node talking to another node through a matcher, or matcher communicating to matcher. But there's nothing there's nothing about a group communication where you're sending one message to a group of nodes or a group of matchers. And I know in theory it is sort of there, but it has not really been pointed out, or there's nothing that's really been developed for that. So we'll have to think about how that would work. In terms of the Vorocast, and that's the, or should I call it Vorocast 2.0? The idea is to perform the forwarding, and this is what I'm still thinking of, by the way, Shinyan. But because anytime I think about it, I think about it as there has to be some form of storage or reference. But the idea was to assign, spatial positions based on like their unique IDs. So once there's an ID, you simply just like routing through the path to that spatial location, or forwarding through that path. But
is this now for the simulation part?
Yeah, this is for the simulation and the actual like forwarding part. Yeah, this is still
because
sorry.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you have let's say you have a mobile app, right? Then the spatial information that you can use is you can use the GPS and get the actual spatial location of the device, and use that as a way of doing your assigning spatial positions.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one thought. Just quickly to add, I think one important thing we discussed yesterday was I mean, in terms of communication, there can actually be two, right? Two types. One is direct one-to-one communication.
Okay.
That's kind of the the basis for WhatsApp. The other is group communications like chat room, right? And
Yeah.
I think at the initial stage, I think what's interesting is we can start with one-to-one communication only, right?
Okay.
And
Yes.
if it's already decentralized and private, that already is a valid use case for certain people, right? I mean, some people
Okay.
might find that attractive and interesting. So I think we can focus on one-to-one first, but then can extend that to group communication, right? I mean,
Okay.
this has to be sort of in different stages. And one thing about the one-to-one is that, I mean, this is what Victor was mentioning about the Broadcast 2.0, is that we will need a way to discover literally like anyone on the system, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
A one-to-one can establish, right? And the simplest way is probably to have a rule or some algorithm, basically a mapping mechanism, to map like any person, okay, given its maybe username, maybe its UUID, okay, and to basically map it onto a location on a spatial map. So that simply through greedy forwarding, you can discover that person in the shortest amount of time, right? It's kind of like having a directory service. But then once you discover that person, right, you can have a direct one-to-one communication with that node. Obviously,
Yes.
maybe through relays such as through matchers or other relays. But essentially, you can then have a one-to-one kind of private communication that's established, right? So, and the neat thing about this, I was mentioning to Victoria, is that this way, if we just started with supporting one-to-one communication, that actually makes node movement minimal. Okay, meaning that even though we're using a spatial map to organize all the nodes, all the users, but they somehow are sort of spread out, right? And the only move then that needs to happen in terms of maybe the overlay or VOM is just the matcher for load balancing purposes. Okay,
okay.
You see,
I'm with you.
so this
Okay,
actually
so-
simplify the amount of I guess robustness or consistency that's required, demanded of the overlay network. Okay, so I guess what's interesting that came out from yesterday's discussion is that we can actually utilize a spatial node communication architecture or design to support basically an instant messenger kind of application that is
Okay, I'm with you.
fully decentralized and privatized. Okay, you see? Okay, but once that application is ready, infrastructure is ready, we can always extend or enhance that to more use cases, to the dynamic nodes. And that would be something more supportive of things such as a decentralized Uber, right? But that is kind of like the next stage. Okay, is that making sense?
No, I'm with you now. Yeah, but in other words, we're not using real locations. We're using
Exactly.
locations.
Right. I think we can even put real
yeah.
location as a second stage. Okay.
Yeah.
To make everything more realistic and more doable.
Well, and it avoids a lot of problems as well. So
yes, and yet,
because
it still retains the spatial part aspect.
Yes, yeah,
fundamentally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's what I felt was kind of like an Victoria. Are you getting this? I mean, this is
yes, I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm listening closely.
I mean, this is important because in order for us to actually get to 1,000 users with a real app, we have to be really focused, and concrete in terms of our development effort, right? I mean, like we have to basically crave a straight line towards that.
Yeah.
But that at the same time will pave the ways for future expansions.
Okay.
So I guess are you guys do you agree on this?
I understand now. Yeah. That actually makes, and that makes, because what I was thinking now is you're going to run into a lot of issues with if you use the real location and if people move and stuff like that. But we're not doing that. We're avoiding that.
Not at all. No. it can be simply,
Okay, yeah.
you know, like hashing that to space, to the space with either user ID or a UUID of the users.
Yeah, and the advantage also is that by doing this, you still get the real app with all the spatial routing and all that kind of stuff. And now when you add the real movement and real spatial locations, it allows you to work from a already working base.
Exactly.
So it makes it easier to get stuff
Exactly.
working. Yeah.
So when
Cool.
you announce to the people, the users, right, that you cannot now not just have a one-to-one direct communication, you can actually have spatial chat or spatial kind of, you know, communication. And that is something entirely new, a new capability. That's that will be useful, right? Okay.
Just a question, Shannon, and I probably have asked this in the past before. I don't see a lot of like information online or like papers with regards to like you know, spatial like messaging, for example. Okay, apart from the GIS, maybe, you know, and those are like usually maps, but like just having like a spatial publish subscribe architecture, for example. I think you're the only one that has worked on that.
You mean any work on that? Well,
it looks like you're the only one. I mean,
okay.
work and yeah.
I don't really think so. I mean, the GS, well, let's see if there is academic work that's done on the Uber architecture. Okay. Because I think the, right, I mean, because obviously Uber and Google Map are the two, I think major applications I'm thinking about.
Yeah, but I think Uber uses Google Maps.
Ah, I see.
I think they use Google Maps as their like source. So it's just
I did see a Uber architecture sketch somewhere. It might even have been on Reddit.
Wow, nice. Okay.
Well, I mean, which means that it might not be accurate. So
maybe someone an unhappy, you know, worker or employee.
So what I do remember about it was that that it appeared to me that the architecture still uses normal you know, server client type of architecture or server multi-client type of architecture, and then they've got something else to do the location based information. But the impression that I got is that a lot of that information is still handled by some kind of a central server or something like that.
Well, it is a central server. I mean,
yeah.
You can dig. Sorry, let me share my screen. I just, I mean, you could do a quick Google. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, quick Google search yields something like this, right? Uber architecture and system design. I don't know if you've seen this article.
I'll look for it after this.
Okay, but it basically talks about it's a Python base, you know, and uses something called Disco. Okay, so they have a dispatch systems, and they use the Google S2 library, right? So basically, okay, it talks about representing data in 3D space in a globe.
I find it.
Right. So basically, a single coordinate system, avoiding distortion. I mean, I guess you can find things like this in more details. They have what's called spatial indexing, right?
Okay.
And also in-memory spatial indexing. So this is essentially trying to, I think, map locations and to quickly find, let's say, nearby neighbors, for example, right? And then operations such as intersection, union, simplifications, right? efficient query for nearby objects, right? Distance. So, I mean, you can probably find things that are, that are related to this, this kind of data that they talk about. They use 1 kilometer times 1 kilometer cells, right? So, and they have like unique IDs. So they talk about cells have unique ID and store them distributedly. So you just need the IDs of the cell to get the location data from the server.
So is that like a
Okay.
matcher region of some sort?
Right. So essentially, I think it's coming down to like there's like a directory service, right? That can quickly retrieve all the cells, the cell numbers, cell IDs from within certain radius, for example, right? And then you use those IDs to get the data that's in each region, each cell, right?
Yeah.
Talks about S2 library gives you the information about for any given cell and all that, right? So basically, I think fundamentally they are doing something, just very similar. I mean, any type of spatial applications, you always have to talk about like how do you discover neighboring data and how do you store individual data, right?
Yeah.
And there are different ways that you can actually do this, right?
So it looks like at the moment, there's a lot of spatial applications in map, in
Right.
maps.
Yes, yeah, precisely, yeah.
Virtual
Exactly,
worlds.
but you can see that they are not using spatial PubSub concepts.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So I think what they're actually doing, Victory, is
It's a lot of steps,
the,
actually.
yes, a lot of the proven technologies in normal, web-based browsing and all that kind of stuff, they basically repurposed those approaches because they know it works, right? And they know how well it scales. And then they basically adapted that or just added a portion that does the map-based processing. And while what we're doing now is we're saying, no, let's redesign the thing from the bottom up to be location based, by design, not something that you add on afterwards.
Exactly. You can see that the design is still very much, there are many steps that are traditional database kind of thinking, right? You have index, you store things according to index. You have fast index retrieval and all that.
All right.
It's not wrong. Okay. I mean, it works. Okay.
No, I know that's the thing, but it's expensive. And
exactly. But I can tell you that because it's probably not designed from the ground up to address and to think about the question and like how to solve it fundamentally, right?
Okay.
It's more like whatever tools we have at hand, and let's get it together to solve this problem we need to get to. So I guess the thing you can note is that a lot of these solutions are very, very domain specific, right? You can also see that that's another kind of trend if you read a few of these tech papers, right? But I guess what we are doing essentially is saying that, okay, hold on, we can actually have a much more simpler interface that can actually support all these kinds of applications. And all we need to do is just define this spatial interface for PubSub, and then and then try to make it scalable. Okay.
Yeah, that's quite. So I know it's supposed to be open source, and it's still probably going to be, but I really think you should patent it. I don't think there's anything like it.
All right, Victory. This is my thinking. Which is, well, there are obviously different ways to go through the intellectual routes, okay? But, well, if you feel that you like to patent, okay, and you do have the brain capacity and interest, I have nothing against that, okay? And, but I like to mention that, we have so much attention.
Okay.
Okay. And to me, you know, as an entrepreneur now, I can say that getting something built that's useful for people, you know, let's say getting the 1,000 users we talk about, that is a lot more important and also a much better use of our attention and time and brain than to think
Well-
about how to do IP protection, you know?
No, you're absolutely right. The problem is not the idea is the stuff like you know, AWS, for example, like
Right,
all
right,
this
right. Right.
they're not just gonna sit down and accept the loss because they've actually invested a lot of money into all this,
Well,
you know, cloud
Well,
solution.
okay, yes. I just very quickly feedback on this point. Actually, it's a I say that it's a over concern. Okay.
Okay.
The reason is that most of these companies already have very well established operations and routines.
Okay.
Okay, they're like juggernaut. Okay, so
Yeah, exactly.
they actually will not spend any money or attention on anything unless it's already very significant.
Okay.
You see, they don't really care about your little ideas about, you know, some small novelties, which may take like 0.1% of your market share. Okay. And if you do get bigger and you do have a market share, their mentality is they will just buy you.
Okay.
You see? So, you know, as opposed to spend resource to try to compete, no, they will focus on their main core business. That's how all the companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, all they do it. And that is why, even though there's Microsoft, there can still be Google and Facebook, you know?
True.
I can share this with you because this is firsthand from Y Combinator. I attended their startup school. And you know, this is just how they are saying that this is just how the way it is. A lot of the startup founders are overly concerned about the bigger giants. Well, if it's something already they do well, then you are not going to compete anyway. You have no chance. Okay. If there's something you still have a chance of doing, it's not something they will care. You see?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so attention is much more, attention, time, energy, brain is much more well spent on how to actually solve people's actual needs and provide better solutions and get traction.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
What you mean? All right.
Yeah, that's another feedback, you know, just to save you some energy.
It makes sense, man. It makes sense.
You know, race for user adoption and traction and usability.
Yeah,
you know, first.
That's much more important.
Yes, yes. And besides,
I have a number
you could fail on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a number of patents, Victory, and I can tell you that getting the patent is the easy part. It's building the community and getting traction, which is the difficult part.
Exactly.
And without the communication and without the community and the traction, the patent doesn't mean anything.
Exactly, exactly. And you can always go back to get the patent, actually.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. I mean, there are ways, a lot of ways you can get patent. I mean, there are like specialists. You can just, even if the patent, you know, already, because there's something called a general idea, you cannot patent general idea. But if you already published paper that's sort of publicized like Vong, I don't think I can patent Vong because it's already been publicized. Yeah. But if you make a variation of Vong, that is still patentable. You see? Okay. You see? And there are like thousands of ways you can specialize and make variation to an existing general design. So I have no concern about, you know, getting patents.
Okay, then. No, then it's fine. Because I think it's something that can work. I'm actually very like I'm quite invested in it now as well. Like it's something that can be used across multiple fields. I mean, even your TV nowadays has some form of spatial information because of adverts, right?
Right. Exactly, right. So yeah. All right. So for tomorrow, I think good. Okay. So Victor, I also asked so I asked you laid out the main thing, but I was actually expecting like a paper of sorts to describe.
Okay.
Like a concept paper, you know, about what this is generally about. Because if we agree this is the path, I think the next thing, I think we already have described the what, you know, the what to do.
Okay.
I think the next thing is what is the concrete 3-month goal, right? And then
Okay.
who are the important who's that should get involved,
Okay.
right? Okay. And
Okay.
and it's important to form a team again. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess Herman, any feedback on this?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, I think having a mobile app like this and with a whole spatial routing is the right way to go. I think that gives a nice focus to, and it's basically also a way of focusing the efforts of a team on achieving the goals. So yeah,
Right.
but I think
there's a very clear
yeah,
use
precisely.
case, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a position paper or a a concept paper is a good way, because that's something you can give to people and say, this is what you want to do, or this is what we want to do. Do you want to get involved? So I think that's very useful.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right. So Victor, so please, I think just get a couple of pages of concept paper down, right? And I guess the purpose of this is to actually recruit the current team members, or to train or to let them know what we want to build, you know, as
Okay.
clearly, as concisely as possible.
Okay. Makes
Okay.
sense. Makes
All
sense,
right.
yeah.
So do you think you can do this by tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't have to be
Remember-
long, you know, just all the
Okay.
key points, what we're doing, why we're doing this, why is it important, and what are the schedule, what are the components we think. Basically, the bullet points you listed down, but expand that into a concept paper.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay. And then, you know, and then share with the group, and then potentially already spread it to people you want to recruit or who's already involved. Okay.
All right.
Okay, like Alida,
Yeah.
right? And also your friend, right, Eliseo.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you talked with him yet about this?
Not yet actually.
Okay. Then maybe write it down and then communicate with him and seek his think about what he says, right? What is his feedback? Right?
All right. I'll
Okay.
do that.
All right.
Thanks so much.
So talk tomorrow then, right? Tomorrow same
Yes,
time.
tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So
Yes.
take care. Yeah. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow. Yeah. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.